activate your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast as you're driving along in your car or your truck, or stick in those earbuds as you're going along in public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the claims and the outrageously false claims being made by the OECD propagandist goons and World Bank goons and those sort of guys, the globalist cabal, saying that really over the last 10 years, purchasing power across the Western world, and Australia included in that, has really only gone down by a tiny bit. There's hardly any difference. Nothing to see here. Move along, folks. Everything's the same as it was. Hey, nothing to worry about. Just go about your business and stop stressing about the decline in purchasing power. So they're saying about in Australia, using Australia as an example, it's in this range, that the average Australian has only gone through a 5% reduction in purchasing power over the last 10 years. Now, this again is an absolutely outrageous claim to make. It's far greater than that, and they know it, and they're telling us lies to try and soften, I suppose, the harshness of what they're actually doing to us, what the globalists are doing to us. There's a massive transfer of wealth going on. It's been happening for some years now. It's being transferred away from what was a democratic, rule of law, due legal process, quite egalitarian in many ways, Western white society, and wealth is being taken away from white Western societies and handed over to brown and black peasants that are being imported by the gazillion into the West. But primarily the wealth transfer is going to globalist oligopolies, monopolies, and cartels and so on. So I just want to sort of have a little look at this claim of 5% reduction. Now, I've done some numbers. If you look at, let's say, things like rents and mortgages, which typically are the bigger ticket items for people, they've over the last 10 years, rents in most areas have approximately doubled. So this is now, assuming the average wage, this is now something between 60 and 65% of the average wage is now consumed in paying rent or a mortgage, in the event you have a mortgage. So in dollar terms, this means that the cost of paying rent has increased, this is over the last 10 years, by something in the order of $18,000 to $21,000 per year. Per year is now the extra amount of money you have to find. Now, there's no way wages have gone up anywhere near that amount. And we're just talking rent. We haven't got to the rest of things yet. So just on the basis of rent, we're talking a huge increase there in the amount of money that has to come out of the average wage paycheck. And so purchasing power just on rent alone or mortgage payments alone has been shot to pieces. Now, if you look at the interest rate rises recently on that the interest rates were at all-time historical lows previously, so they always were going to go up at some point. But nonetheless, a lot of people have geared themselves very highly, borrowed a lot of money, and when the interest rates even go up by 0.25%, 0.5%, that delivers quite a big hit to the monthly budget. Now, some people can ride that out without breaking a sweat, but for a decent number of people, having to find an extra, $100 or $200 a week is quite a heavy hit, and they've got to make adjustments elsewhere. Take kids out of the private school, or trade down the motor vehicle they've got because they can't keep the payments up on that, or make other economies elsewhere. So rent, mortgages is a big thing. Now, food. Just assuming a single person here, so I'm not assuming like a large family, but a single person just buying food. I'm talking about not going out to eat, but just buying groceries at the local store. It's going to cost them approximately $3,000 a year more just on the food. Now, this is in the basics and the staples. Milk, for example, has gone up by 50%. Bread has gone up by 45%. Some of the cuts of meat have gone up a lot. even the cheapest cuts of meats have gone up by 20%, and the list just goes on and on. And we're talking basics here. We're not talking luxury food items. In some cases, they've gone up even more. But and other basic staples like breakfast cereal or basic spreads for sandwiches that you would make for the kids to go to school with. They've gone up very substantially. So you've got to find an extra, just a single person. You've got to find approximately an extra $3,000 a year just buying the groceries. And again, this is staples, bread, milk, that sort of stuff, basic cuts of meat and so on. Now you can sort of work around this to some extent. You can do some hard work on spreadsheets, working out which places have got what discounts or specials or something. But again, that's a lot of work, and you're doing a lot of driving around, which brings you back. You're now spending money on energy, as in petrol for your car and things like that. Now energy has more than doubled over that same. This is electricity I'm talking about, over that same, or gas, that same amount of time. So again, you're having to find approximately another $3,000 a year there. So if you're just a single person, this is not a big family or anything. If you're a single person, then you've got to find, and with other costs such as increased government charges and so on, you've got to find somewhere in the region of $25,000 a year more money to have the same standard of living as you had 10 years ago. That's how huge a shift we're talking here. It is massive. So people are having to make economies. Not they don't go out at all, or they get clothing from the charity stores. They walk a lot more, and they can't have a motor vehicle, so they take public transport, and so on and so forth. So I'm having to make a lot of adjustments there. So my given the wage rises over the time, and there's like a tax cut in there as well, but given the wage rise over time, and I'm erring on the side of caution here, the reduction in purchasing power over the last 10 years, this is in Australia. This assumes, again, the average, or in the average wage band, between 90 and 110% of the average wage. The reduction in purchasing power is 31%, and I'm erring on the side of caution here. If I wanted to get a little bit to go a little bit further, it'd easily be in excess of a third. But let's just say for the moment 31%. That is a massive. Now remember, the World Bank number crunchers, or the I think it was the OECD guys, the last one I looked at, said the purchasing power has only declined by 5%. What a load of fucking crap. The purchasing power has declined, as I say, by 31% plus the purchasing power has declined by. Now that is within 10 years. That is a savage reduction in purchasing power, and just goes to show you the extent of the wealth transfer away from Western citizenry into the pockets of the globalist oligarchs and elites. Now, when you bring people in from third world countries that they've lived in grass huts and maybe never had a job in their lives, they don't see that. They don't see the reduction in purchasing power, because they haven't lived there all their lives. They didn't build this country. They didn't build the society. They didn't build the economy. They didn't build or create values. They're just coming along as parasites at the trying to feed off the carcass as it starts to decompose. But for people who, the white people who always lived here and go back generations, it's a mind-boggling level of theft of not only our culture and our lifestyle, but also, of course, our economic status and purchasing power. You've been fantastic today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.